Bravo!
That Italian dish is always a little bit more tricky to do, so I'm glad you enjoyed that. Lots of spice on one side, and so anyhow, so people are asking about the kale chips, how to do them. They are dehydrated. Okay, so this is the cashew butter. Can easily do that at home. People ask me all the time how you do them. Very, very simple. They are sunflower seed, cashew, tomato, a little smoked paprika, coriander, and you puree that in a Vitamix, but not at the maximum speed, because otherwise you don't have any texture left. Right? So you want to have little chunks left. Right? So when you bite into the kale chip, you get a little bit of that. So then you're massaging the kale, right? Everybody knows how you take the kale off and you massage it, right? You break them a little bit so they're easy to eat. And you put them in a dehydrator for 20 hours at 116 degrees.
20 hours, wow.
So it's very simple. I mean, you just put them in these trays and you walk away, right? Next morning you open it up.
So you came at 3 in the morning to do this for us.
That's what I do, yes, just for you folks here, you know, come at 3 o'clock in the morning. So then we're asking the mushroom meatballs, so there's brown rice. You can make that with any grain really, okay? But the trick is to undercook that a little bit, so you keep a little texture. I hope that worked out, because then you had to rebake them. A little easier to control in smaller quantities, okay? So, but whenever you do something like that, it's always useful to undercook these things a little bit, so you still have a little texture left. The onion, tomato sauce, I was asked how to do that.
But the mushroom balls, again, is just
creamy mushroom, onion, garlic, oregano, fresh oregano.
Oregano, okay.
Cayenne, a little bit, chili flake, and I don't even know what else I used. So, so the nutritional yeast a little bit.
And the brown rice that was with watery brown rice mixed to hold it all together with the mushroom.
Cooked, yeah.
What did you
What
chop the
I do is I
mushrooms?
puree them, so you can put them in a Vitamix, and that works for any grain. If you want to make like a burger or something, you put like, let's say farro or any barley or anything, you put them in a Vitamix and you crush them. So you break them into quarters or something, right? There's going to be a little dust in there, and that binds the mixture. Does that make sense? So first you puree it, then you cook it. And the way you cook it, anybody knows how to cook polenta?
Yes.
Polenta, right? So you bring the liquid to a boil first.
Yeah.
Really hard boil, okay? And then you pour the polenta in. In this case, this looks almost like polenta, right? The rice or whatever you want to use. And use a whisk, and you whisk it in. Okay, otherwise it clumps up. Okay, so this cooks even. If you want to, you put it in the oven for like 15 minutes and it's done, depending.
And then how did you, the mushrooms, did you chop the mushrooms or you pureed them in there?
Yes, so I didn't explain it correctly, thank you. So it's really like your allium family, so the garlic and onion, you sweat it first, again without oil. The mushrooms you put right in there, they're gonna release all the liquid. You put your spices on there and you release the flavor of the spices, okay? And then if you have a veggie stock, put the veggie stock on there, right? And bring it to a boil, right? Then you go and grab again, it could be polenta, it could be farro, it could be barley, it could be rye, it could be any grain. Rice, black rice, right? You puree that in a Vitamix, and you pour it in and mix it in like that.
Is that before or after it's cooked, the rice?
The rice is raw, and you put it in, you mix it into the boiling liquid.
You blend the rice when it's raw in the Vitamix to make it into a grain. Because you partially grind it, he's saying.
So what this does is the grains get straight into the boiling liquid, and it blooms right away. If you do it the other way, it just clumps up. It doesn't cook even, and some is going to be raw, some is going to be mushy. Does that make sense?
Is black rice better than the brown rice? Or the same?
Well, it's 23% protein, for example, right? Super high for that. People are still worried about protein.
It's like
But it's really high on iron and so many other nutrients. Every color identifies different nutrients, of course, right? So
But I don't recommend people eat brown rice.
I'm sorry?
I do not recommend people eat brown rice.
Okay, what about black?
Why? Do you know why? It's because they feed arsenic to the chickens, and they use the chicken manure to fertile the rice paddies. And arsenic is a food where the hull of the rice soaks up arsenic like a sponge, more than any other food. So brown rice is the highest arsenic residue of any other food. So the brown rice I get from Minnesota or Canada, that's truly wild on bar where they knock it down with the rice things with a stick that aren't commercially made rice. They're like families that make their own rice and that are really truly wild rices. You order them from like Moosewood Rice Company if you want brown, because they don't have any arsenic residue in those rices. So you can
And black rice also has.
black rice is better, but it depends on the type of black rice too. You want to get the organic black rice because some of the commercial black rice growers can have some arsenic in the black rice as well.
I've heard Lundberg tests theirs. They
Yeah.
got the results and stuff. It's still a little bit. It's very low though.
What was the brand you said?
The brand of rice that I use is really expensive. It's like $5 a pound, and it's called Moose Lake Rice Company. It's incredible, but it's really expensive.
I think I ordered some on your website, didn't I?
I don't sell it on the website, but
How did you make the cauliflower?
Moose Lake.
The cauliflower.
unless you know the source where you're getting it from and they've got it analyzed, you know.
Okay, so we have a question on the cauliflower puree.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how to do that, right? It's in one of the books.
It's in a few of the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to know if it was the same one.
And they work really simple. I mean, you just steam them and you put a little bit of potato in there is fine. And now with the cauliflower, the problem is it will soak up water, right?
Yeah.
Like a sponge. So that can be really watery. If you did only, I've tried it many times, where I did only cauliflower, and then you have like a watery thing, you know. So what I do is I toast my caraway and my nutmeg on the side. Okay, always toast it, release the flavors. And I pop that in, and then I put like a good, in this case it's 40 people, put a good handful of garlic clove in there. And the cauliflower and the potatoes. Golden Yukon potato, real nice, high quality. But
Did you put cashew butter in there too?
I did.
You did put cashew
Yeah,
butter,
but
yes.
teeny tiny, I
Little
mean,
bit, yeah.
just like maybe a pea size per person or so. Just
Oh.
as a little binder.
Because I use
But it
cashew
really-
butter too, and then I put,
Yeah.
you know, in the
So it's really depends on the potato, I think. You know, sometimes you have a really nice potato, but we're sort of out of the potato season a little bit, right?
It's delicious.
But yeah, it's very simple. 1 part potato and 2 parts cauliflower. Something like
Excellent.
that.
Good. Delicious.
Good. Good.
Yeah, best mashed cauliflower I've ever had.
Yeah, that was good.
All right.
Great.
Any other questions? We're good today? Do you guys want
Thank
to
you.
hear
Thank you
anything
so
about flavor or tasting maybe or something like that? I give you a little.
Another
I
tip?
give you a little spiel.
Okay.
Give you a little spiel.
Okay.
Here's what I learned from a master sommelier. Okay, how you taste food. Because everybody's a little bit different, and the more is like, well, you know, how do you go about it, right? So I worked master sommelier for 6 years, and then I got to know other ones, and there's a lot to be learned from the techniques they use. The way they have to do their class or their master class is they have to identify 8 out of 10 wines blind tasting, right? They just get the wines, and now you got to, by elimination, decide how you do that, right? There's viscosity, obviously, and that sort of thing, color, obviously. But the main reason, right, so Jay Fletcher is his name, who explained this to me, is actually they put the wine to the nose, right? They're smelling the wine, right? The same works for food, it's exactly the same thing. The whole thing has to do sort of with evolution, where we used to have a lot more, you know, we were dependent on our smell, right? Before you hate it, you want to identify if something is bad, right? So your nose is really, really important when you're eating food too. When you eat something warm, try to smell it, slow down a little bit and smell it first. And it's really gonna change the way you actually perceive food and how you perceive flavor, right? So the second thing is, of course, when you smell something, it sort of works like you're blowing out a candle, right? So if you're smelling wine, or if you're smelling a soup, or anything hot, any hot sauces, hot dishes, the first time you smell it, you get the most intense flavor, and then those flavor taste buds, they disappear. The second time you smell the wine or the soup, it's not quite as intense anymore. You need to recover, actually, right? So keep that in mind. When you do it the very first time, that's where you get the most out of it, right? Then, of course, you know, sommeliers, they always tell in terms of like it has sweetness in the front of it. And it's not really correct, scientifically correct, but even so, they're trying to identify these wines, or in food for that matter. Front of your tongue is sweetness, right? That's why most people are addicted to sweetness, or part of the reason. A little bit farther back is acid, really far back is spice, right? So many times you eat something spicy, you don't identify this until it's really almost too late, right? You're like, whoa, that was, you know, so it takes a little time, right? Everybody knows that, right? Tannin on the side, right? Underneath your tongue, so that's why we swoosh wines around. But the same when you're eating soup, or if you're practicing mindful eating, or you really want to move to the next level on how you identify flavors and taste and different aromas. That's really key. So you know, the wine guys, they slurp it, right? So they introduce air into it, and that's how they get even more flavor out of it now, right? That's how they're really the professionals do it, right? And you can practice this when you're actually eating food too. That's how I taste actually. That's more like in the little bit of advanced level of tasting if you want to go there. So what else was there? No, that's all I got. That's all I got. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Thank you.